Okay, we're here today with Dr. Lenny Locke, and Dr. Locke, you've been with us here at Auburn for a few years now. I think you came about the same time I did. When did you come to Auburn?
Gee whiz, it's been almost a little over 2 years now, and I think I picked a good year, and probably so did you with the football team.
Yeah,
Came here for
absolutely.
the
Just in
national
time to get in
championship.
here and claim to be national
That
champs,
was
right?
great. But
Absolutely.
let me just say, too, one of the things that attracted me to Auburn, I was with the State University of New York previously, was just the fantastic school spirit. And I remember when actually my wife had come down when I came for the interview, and she went out and saw the community and the university.
Yeah.
We got back to the hotel, and we both just felt so positively about Auburn. So was just delighted to be offered the position, and as you pointed out, I've been here 2 years now.
Excellent. Which campus were you at the State University?
I was way up by the Canadian border, actually, Plattsburgh State University. We were 30 miles from Canada, and the Adirondacks is a beautiful area.
Okay, yeah. The reason I asked is we have some colleagues in an agriculture education program at SUNY Oswego, I believe.
Oh yes, I'm well aware of SUNY Oswego.
I've never been to any of them, but I see
Yeah.
that in the email. This is the reason I asked. So, well, great. And this class, the people that we're talking to here today are our distance students that are in CTCT 7016, which is managing and supervising student organizations. And what that translates into for almost all of our teachers is leading an FFA chapter. And really, the FFA, you and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but the FFA is a co-curricular piece, not a... We kind of cringe at the word club because we feel like you could have a special interest club, but we really see it as a co-curricular piece that if we draw these Venn diagrams to represent agricultural education, and there's always a circle for our classroom and our laboratory work together, and then one for our FFA, and then one for a supervised agricultural experience, which is a supervised informal learning experience outside of the classroom. And so we see it as an integral part and not not just an interest club. And so we are talking to several agriculture teachers in the field, some in Alabama, some in Georgia, and some in Tennessee. And so I asked you here today because we're trying to put some faces with names and names with faces, and to get a better feel of Auburn University and the College of Education, and down even to our department and our program for our distance students. So first, let me say thank you for agreeing to sit down and talk to us. And I realize it's a little strange to sit down and have a conversation in front of a camera. So thank you, thank you for making that jump. We're learning to do that a little more comfortably, but it's still a little bit uncomfortable. But I am very thankful that we have these opportunities for our students to study at a distance. It fits into their schedule, and it fits into the degree program that they wanted but wasn't available in their area.
Absolutely.
And so distance education is doing some great things for our students. I'm very happy about that. And so we'll move forward. And we're talking this week about program evaluation, and I think by some of the things we're going to talk about here today, you're going to help me understand what you do a little better, and you're going to help me understand some differences I see coming up here in just a few minutes. But I do let me just make sure that I'm not completely off track. Under the umbrella of what you do, it does involve collecting data to determine effectiveness of programs. Is that somewhat correct?
That is correct.
Okay, well, that's what made me think of you, because we're talking about looking at our FFA chapter, our educational program, and trying to take these inputs from our different stakeholders and determine whether we're really meeting our objectives. And so that's what I asked you here for today. But I realize that I don't pretend to understand your full role with the university. So why don't you expound on that just a little bit of what you do for our college?
Sure, definitely. Well, I'm the coordinator of assessment and evaluation in the College of Education, and involved with a wide variety of aspects, as you had mentioned, related to program effectiveness. For example, we have a new data management system which plays into the more effective collection of the assessment related information. We have a wide variety of external reporting that also lets others know, and they do their interpretation of our program, our college's effectiveness. By the way, on that note, you had mentioned about distance education, and just like to, I think you already know, and maybe modest to say, but our distance education programs were mentioned by U.S. News as on the honor roll in all the major categories that were rated. This is the first time they actually looked at distance learning education programs. So I facilitated the collection of that. I don't do the work in the distance education programs that you and all our other outstanding faculty colleagues do, but so I have a role with regard to external reporting, and in this case it just happened to relate to distance education and some really good news. I think the students already know that, though, even though they might not have the exact figures.
Sure,
for
and getting that information and maybe looking that up on U.S. News and World Report's website might, bring a little better sense of pride even to this education that they're experiencing via distance. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
Sure. The other thing I wanted to mention is, of course, being in teacher education, we have very comprehensive and state-required certification. And so the Praxis 2, I hope my popularity doesn't drop by mentioning the Praxis 2, because of course there's one in agricultural education too.
These people are post-Praxis 2. We're dealing with
well, then I'm talking to a very friendly crowd.
Everybody's okay with it.
Good. That do a lot of analysis with regard to the Praxis 2, of course, that is administered by ETS, but then as we get those results, not only helping students to be able to show their best work, but as you mentioned about program effectiveness in terms of looking at the particular content areas within the Praxis 2, providing that back to faculty members, and I appreciate the dialogue that we've had to this point about the Praxis 2 and the agricultural education. And so taking a look at those content areas to facilitate further program improvement, of course, which would be one aspect of the evaluation process.
So using evaluation for program planning and program improvement, that's a wonderful concept, right? And that's that's something that I know is encouraging for me to hear. You mentioned assessment and evaluation. I heard both of those words in your roles and responsibilities. So why don't you clear up for me evaluation and how it's different from assessment?
Sure. Well, assessment is essentially some systematic way of collecting information, whereas the evaluation is actually, in a literal sense, making the evaluation or the judgments about that assessment data. So what is the meaning of it? How are we to use it? What's the context of the data? All that richness is part of the evaluative process, and of course measurement would even be the first step. That's just more literally like assigning a number based upon some rule. But actually making those judgments is part of the evaluative process. When you think about it, that evaluation can occur at a variety of different points. It could be, for example, that one of our colleagues is working on something at a very conceptual or beginning basis, and so the evaluation might occur at that point. It could occur during the data collection. How effective is the data collection process? Do we need to make adjustments in that regard? Sure. It may be actually dealing with the outcomes of the program themselves. So one way that's helpful to me to think about the whole evaluation process is what stage is it occurring at?
Sure.
But evaluation is making judgments, and of course then this opens up the whole conversation and dialogues with stakeholders. Presumably everybody is in the supportive mode of the particular evaluation, but it may be used to build further buy-in to the process and that kind of thing as well.
Sure, absolutely. And we've had a bit of a discussion on formative versus summative, and the importance of some of this evaluation terminology is somewhat new to me, but I believe Patton describes those stakeholders as evaluands. And so he says the importance of the buy-in on the front end from the evaluands of saying, yes, I'd like to be evaluated so that we can make this a better process is vital. And that's what